Hello, Robert.
Hi.
Good to see you again at Superbooth 2025. And are you excited to be here?
Absolutely. It's awesome as always, and best event of the year.
Fantastic. And did you bring us any new modules this year, or any news?
Yes. We have some really great news. It's our new Wave 82 module.
So what am I looking at here?
You are looking at a complete 8-voice polyphonic wavetable synthesizer. Not only a polyphonic oscillator, it's actually a complete synth as one module. And it's controlled via IMDI, our new internal MIDI. It's a real beast. It can load wavetables externally from SD card. It can store presets on SD card. It can be controlled externally via MIDI controllers from any external controller or audio software. And it's an amazing thing we are adding.
So it's basically a complete synthesizer in one module.
It's a complete synthesizer in one module, yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay. So, can you show us a little bit about it and how do you control it?
Yeah, okay. So I have one demo patch here. Just let's listen to this one.
You can turn that up a bit.
Turn it up. It's a kind of bit complex pad effect sound. Or we can listen to another one.
So it has presets?
Yes, it has 8 favorites. You can store and adjust, switch between them via the knobs on the side. And in another mode, when you go to edit mode, then these are selecting different pages for editing all the parameters.
Wow.
You always have 8 parameters on one page. And all in all, it has 80 parameters, so it's quite a lot of stuff, but of course, it's a complete synth, yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. And I spotted an SD card at the top there. What do you put on the SD card?
Yeah, the SD card serves different purposes. First, it's the source for the wavetables. I mean, the module has internally 10 wavetables already stored, fixed, but it also can load external wavetables as much as you like. And there is a great resource, Wave Edit Online, with a lot of wavetables that are perfectly compatible with this module. So it's an endless source of raw material for this module.
Oh, fantastic.
This is the first purpose. The second purpose is simply to store presets and load them. And the third purpose has to do with a great feature of this module. It has a patch randomizer function. So you can simply press a button and it creates a complete new preset on the fly. And if you like it, you can simply press save and save it for further use. And these ones are stored in a separate folder on the SD card. Then you can load them later, refine them, and make real presets of it.
And can you share presets? Because presets are files, so you can probably just share them with other people, right?
Presets are simply sysx files, MIDI standard sysx files, and they can be shared among each other. And yeah.
So if you share like a wave file, a wavetable file, and the sysx file for the presets with someone else, then you can basically replicate.
Exactly,
your
then
patches.
you're good to go. And I expect quite a lot of community activity here in creating and sharing presets. I think it will be an amazing journey to see in the future.
That'll be awesome. That'll be really cool. We have to make a special forum section just for that.
Yes, of course,
definitely.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. Okay, do you want to show us a little bit more either about this module, or do you have other IMDI modules as well?
I can continue a little bit on this waves module.
Yeah, show a little bit more about it.
Let's try the preset randomizer.
Okay.
I mean, it's always a bit of a surprise. I don't know what happens, but let's simply try it. Here, there's the randomize button. Let's press it once and see what happens. Okay, this is a bit more noisy stuff. Let's try again.
So when I played around with it yesterday, I noticed that some patches are very velocity sensitive.
Yes.
And you actually have to hit it to get something out of it.
Velocity
right?
is a part of the presets, yeah. Stuff like this. And another feature we have built in here is a mutation of presets. So it's another button, you press mutate, and then the current preset is only modified a little bit, and so you can play around and make it going into a bit different direction. Okay.
So tell me a little bit about the synth engine. Like when you talk about a synthesizer, you talk about, you know, how many oscillators, filters, envelopes, LFOs, and so on. What are the specs?
Yeah, let's go a bit more in the details of the modules. Yeah. It has 2 oscillators per voice with 2 different selectable wavetables. And of course you can set pitch and fine and coarse and modulation. Then it has a filter per voice, different filter types of course, with low pass, band pass, high pass, band filter.
So when you say voice, it's 8 voice polyphonic,
yes,
isn't it? So you have 1 filter for each of those 8 voices?
Yes, 1 filter for each voice. It's really polyphonic. It's not paraphonic, it's really polyphonic. Then we have 3 envelopes per voice. And we have 4 LFOs per voice with a lot of different waveforms. The LFOs also can be synced to MIDI clock, so you can get kind of synced rhythmical patterns that run along the current timing. And all this runs via the IMDI connection. And it's great because IMDI also transports the MIDI timing information. If MIDI clock is coming in, the module automatically syncs onto this timing when its LFOs are set to sync mode.
Yeah, fantastic. And so there's a very large modulation matrix. How do you access that modulation matrix? Where to map the LFOs, where to map the envelopes and all of that? Do you do all of that in this menu?
You can do it all in the menu, and we found a quite clever method not to dive too deep into all this matrix stuff. It still remains a quite accessible menu. It's 1 page where you set the destinations and the amount of modulations, and 1 page where you set the sources, and then you are good to go. And sources can be either internal LFOs or envelopes, or external MIDI controllers, like let's say, MIDI controllers, or pitch band, or modulation wheel, and velocity, all this kind of stuff.
So I just turned the light back on because I want to go to the module again and see here at the very top you have 4 CV inputs.
Yeah.
What are these used for?
Yeah, the CV inputs, of course, we are in the modular world. We don't discarding CV, of course. And these CV inputs can either act as input for the internal modulation. They can be routed to modulate any parameter. Or it also can be used in a certain mode that this module also can be played via CV and gate. Either as a monophonic voice, or that it's a certain types of chords can be generated via the CVs.
Oh, fantastic. So you're not discarding CV and the modular world at all.
No, of course.
You include it, which is really cool.
But this is a good example to gain the advantages we have by IMDI. Otherwise, we would have to have 8 CV inputs and 8 gate inputs and 8 output MIDI to CV interface, which would be a huge task to get this polyphonic playability. And via IMDI, we only have one single connection, and that's all for playing polyphonically.
And when you assign these parameters, like to your keyboard here, to these encoders and so on, how do you do that? Are there fixed CC messages, or does it do MIDI learn or something like that?
No, it has fixed CC messages. There is a table where every parameter has its own CC number, and you can assign this number to your MIDI controller and control these parameters on the fly from your keyboard. For example, we have the Novation launch key here, which I consider is a great controller for AE Modular because it has a great velocity sensitive keyboard. It has these 16 pads that can act either as drum pads or as controller sources for on-off, or they also can act as an actual keyboard. And they are played on another MIDI channel. For example, the keyboard here goes out on MIDI channel 1, and these pads are going out on MIDI channel 10. And these pads are assigned to the micro poly module here. And so I can play a chord here.
And this is now going via MIDI channel 10, so you would go into the IMDI hard and take it from channel 10 into the micro poly.
Exactly.
And the micro poly is a 4-voice polyphonic synthesizer, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. The MIDI connection from the keyboard goes into the IMDI hard, and from here into the micro poly via one cable, and here we are.
So you also showed me how you controlled some of the parameters of the micro poly with the encoders here.
Yes.
So what do they currently do?
And for example, I have assigned attack and decay on the first 2 controllers, so let's turn them to 0. If we remove all effects, yes, now we have short. Let's increase the decay. Let's increase it even more.
Nice.
Let's increase the attack. Now we can change the phaser depth.
Oh, there's a built-in phaser.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And it's all in this tiny little...
All in this tiny little module. Yes,
module.
yes.
It's crazy.
And really it shows its full capability when you control it externally via all these external controllers. And this is a great way to do this actually.
Amazing stuff. Okay, so, but I did spot a few more modules in here. So the that's the IMDI.
It's an IMDI buffer.
IMDI buffer and RT merge. What do they do?
RT merge is still a prototype, but it has a quite special purpose because in the IMDI hard, the MIDI real-time information is assigned to one specific output.
Okay.
There is one output chosen. This has some technical reason that we can't spread the MIDI clock to every output. It would overload the system. And usually you need it only for a few modules. So it's sent to one output, and the RT merge module, what it does, you feed the real-time information to one input and your regular MIDI, like nodes and controllers, to another input, and it merges them to one MIDI stream. So for each module that needs real-time information, you merge the actual channel you use to this one real-time channel. And
so what's an example for real-time information, for instance? What would that be?
Real-time information is MIDI start-stop clock.
Ah, okay.
And for example, with this Wave 82 module, this is exactly the purpose, because the LFOs are synced
And they need to have the start and stop information.
I need the real-time information, so they are working in sync with the timing.
Yeah, okay. Okay, right. Okay. And the MIDI buff, what does that do?
It's a simple buffer for MIDI information.
Because you can't use the normal multiples to...
You can, but it's better to have a real, actual electronic buffer chip between.
Yeah, okay, all right. And I'm also spotting an MIDI sequencer here. What does that do?
This is the MIDI sequencer. I must admit, it's still a kind of blank prototype, but it's something I'm working on currently. It's a sequencer which spits out also MIDI signals, MIDI note informations, and it will be a quite capable sequencer, although it's only 1 unit wide. It will have multiple sequences you can switch between via presets, and it will have different modes like chord mode or single note sequences, and also kind of randomizing sequences, mutating sequences to get an inspiration.
Yeah, okay.
Like a function to generate some acid sequence on the fly, which is a lot of fun. So you don't have to tweak every single note, just get something to start with and continue from there.
Yeah, but it's still a work in progress.
It's a work in progress, yeah.
So, but the Wave 82 module, that looks pretty much complete. So when do you think can people buy this in the shop?
Yeah, I'd say the audio engine is more or less finished, and the product should be available, I think, late summer of this year.
Okay.
So it's in a quite very good state. What's very important to mention about this module is that it's a collaboration between me and Matthias Brüssel from Visuelle Musik, who did an amazing job in developing the audio engine. He made the audio engine completely, and it was an unplanned project actually. Matthias started to working with the processor chip and trying different libraries and audio processing functions, and one day he came up with something amazing. He sent me a few MP3 demo sounds, and I was blown away. I said, Matthias, what have you done here? It's amazing. We have to make a module out of this. And of course, he was happy about this. And since a few months, we are working on this together, and it's great fun. And also a great example of the community power of a Modular. Yeah. Somebody comes up with something, and it finds its way to a real product. And this is something I really love.
That sounds really, really good. Okay, do you want to play a patch for us?
Yeah, let's try. Okay, something like
Thank you
this.
very much, Robert. And yeah, I can't wait to see this, to play around with this module myself. It's an awesome development.
Yeah, I'm really happy about it.
Okay. Well, thanks, Robert.